Georg Bruchmüller, nicknamed Durchbruchmüller, was a German artillery officer who greatly influenced the development of modern artillery tactics. His nickname Durchbruchmüller is a combination of the German word Durchbruch with his name. Early life. Bruchmüller was born in Berlin into a middle-class family. He studied physics at Berlin University. When he left in 1883, he became a 3-year volunteer in the Imperial Army. 2 years later, he was commissioned into the Fuss artillery, the branch of the German army armed with heavier guns, howitzers and mortars, designed principally for siege warfare, which now was assuming a role in field operations. In 1897 and 1898, Bruchmüller served as a battery commander in Fuss Artillery Regiment No. 3 in Mainz. Next, he commanded a battery in the Lehrbattalion of the Royal Prussian Fuss Artillery Schießschule in Jüterbog from 1901–1902. During this time, he worked with one of the instructors at the Fuss Artillery Schießschule, Hauptmann Arthur Bilser, a heavy artillery specialist. In 1908, Bruchmüller was promoted to major and assigned to write the tactical manual for foot artillery. In 1913, he was thrown from his horse and subsequently had a nervous breakdown. He was medically discharged as a lieutenant colonel, but with major's pay. World War I. At the beginning of World War I, he was recalled to active duty, soon becoming artillery commander of the 86th Division on the Eastern Front. In 1915, he fought in 13 actions, winning the Iron Cross First Class and Second Class. The Russians conducted the Lake Narok offensive from 18 to 30 March 1916. For the counter-attack, Bruchmüller persuaded the 10th Army Commander General Oberst Hermann von Eichhorn to centralize the artillery command. Bruchmüller planned to lead the infantry attack with a creeping barrage, which contributed to the German victory, for which he was awarded the Paul Mérite, Germany's highest military award. In 1917, the French and British used prolonged bombardments before an infantry assault to try to destroy the defenders, like the 7-day barrage opening the Battle of the Somme, while the Germans favored short, intense bombardments, like the 10-hour opening the Battle of Verdun. Bruchmüller devised intricate, centrally controlled firing plans for intense bombardments. His operations emphasized fire in depth throughout the enemy positions, switching rapidly from target to target and then back again, which required strict, detailed control of every gun to cause maximum disruption of the defenders. Each battery of each type of weapon received fire missions on a timetable. The first stage hit headquarters, phone links, command posts, enemy batteries and infantry positions. The fire was sudden, concentrated and made extensive use of gas shells. In the second stage, more guns engaged the enemy batteries. Many shots were required. For example, 100 shells from 6-in howitzers were considered necessary to eliminate a gun pit. The third stage directed fire for effect on targets. Some batteries continued to shell infantry positions, while heavy pieces engaged long-range targets to cut off reinforcements. The advancing infantry followed a precisely organized creeping barrage, the firewalls. For some of the key counter-attacks during Russia's Brusilov offensive, he directed the 76 artillery batteries of Heeresgruppe von Linsingen. In July 1917, he commanded 134 batteries during the counter-attack that recovered Tarnopol from the Russians, after its loss during the Kerensky offensive. Surprise was essential for creating maximum disruption, so Bruchmüller adopted the Pulkovsky method for bombardments without the customary registration fire. The position of each gun was surveyed. Knowing the muzzle velocity of the gun and taking into account variables like air temperature, wind velocity and direction, and using tables provided by mathematicians, it was possible to fire fairly accurately at targets on the gunnery maps. The Germans concealed their attack preparations, but their initial target data had to be precise. Bruchmüller commanded the artillery of the 8th Army during the victory at Riga in September 1917. The 8th Army moved west soon thereafter, where in the first months of 1918, Bruchmüller's techniques were taught to gunners at a special school in Belgium, before the German spring offensive of 1918. Infantry officers were also taught his methods, and there were joint infantry artillery exercises with live ammunition, with advances shielded by the creeping barrage. The first attack, Operation Michael, began with a barrage of 3.5 million shells in 5 hours, almost 200 shells a second. Defying instructions, Bruchmüller eliminated preliminary registration by firing from the map and then directed the artillery during the next attack at the Battle of the Lys on Flanders, where the artillery had not yet been trained in the Polkowski method. The guns were registered by observation during the first phase of the bombardment. Still only a retired lieutenant colonel on temporary recall, he commanded the artillery in Heeresgruppe Deutscher Kronprinz in the Third Battle of the Aisne and the Second Battle of the Marne. The artillery fired from the map in darkness and the infantry advanced at first light. Ludendorff cited him as an example of the decisive influence of personality on the course of events in war. Post-war, Bruchmüller was not eligible for the post-war Reichswehr because the Versailles Treaty prohibited heavy artillery, and he was retired in 1919 as a colonel. He wrote several books on artillery that were translated into English, French and Russian. In 1939, he was promoted to Major General on the retired list. Bruchmüller died at Garmisch-Partenkirchen in 1948.